Hi, everybody. Welcome to this webinar today that is going to talk about just where you should be in bar prep. I do one of these at the beginning of each month of bar prep. So this is really like the first one. So this is for June. Hopefully everybody's been a couple months. God, it's been a long day. I'm going with like my 12th hour right now. And Carmen, I will talk about mental health in the bar exam. If you want, bring that up again closer to the end and we can absolutely talk about that. I very strong thoughts about that, about how important it is. But today we're going to talk about, and we're going to keep this tight to a shorter session to just give you some tips on where you should be in bar prep. And if you're not where you would like to be, how do you get caught up? And what sort of things should you be doing right now that we're in June? Hopefully you've been studying for a couple of weeks at this point. I know for some of you where it's your first time taking the exam, you may be just about a week in, maybe a little longer or a little more, a little bit less. Let's get into it. First of all, though, my name is Maureen. I'm the founder and creator of BarMD. We're a full service bar prep company. So anything you need for the bar exam, whether it's an essay book, PT book, if you need more instruction, we have courses. You need help with the MBE, I have a really good MBE course. If you need one-on-one attention, we have really great tutoring. I am incredibly selective about who I will let tutor for me. I have just a handful of people and I do it too, but I'm pretty booked up at this point. But anything you really need, and in addition to a whole bunch of free resources, it's really important to me that passing the bar is an accessible thing. So I do put some really good free resources out there in addition to a podcast that we are now updating. And yeah, in addition to a podcast, I also have a bunch of stuff on YouTube. On my website, if you go to bar-md.com, you go bar-md.com, and there's a section on the top of the webpage called free resources. Click on that. That's how you can find any other free resources we have, access to some samples of my books. If you want to see it's like a sample chapter, etc. So lots and lots of good free stuff out there. Yeah. All right, let's get started and get into the meat of this today. And Andrea, I do have an MPRE thing. So shoot me an email. I can share that. All right. So today, our goal, know where you should be, know how to get to where you need to be, and just some effective study tools. That's it. We're going to keep it tight today, get you guys back to studying. So first off, do not believe it when people say, oh, all the memorization comes at the end. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And what people are not telling you is that when you are doing the activities your bar company is assigning to you, that is working on your memorization, which is why it's important for you to do closed note essay practice. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in depth. If you've been to my other free webinars, I talk about this a lot and you're going to hear it again. It's incredibly important. It's a huge part of your memorization. So you need to do a little bit of memorization every day. Probably not assigned to you by your bar prep company, but it's something that you need to add in. So do 30 minutes, ideally, 30 minutes minimum, ideally about an hour every day, 6 days a week. So do a little bit of memorizing and do it in whatever way works for you. It may be that you are handwriting out rules over and over. Like I had a legal pad, I had a little white erase board, I had different things. I had flashcards, I would quiz myself, etc. Whatever works, do that. And a good tool for some memorization is listening to my podcast episodes where I do some reviews of the Black Letter Law, and we're updating it with more detailed reviews now too. And also when you write a practice essay, writing is memorizing. So just keep that in mind. Have you guys all started memorizing? Tell me in the chat. I'm so happy there's so many of you here. That's so exciting to me. Yeah, like listening to a podcast and repeating it over and over. That's helpful. I get it. If you have a toddler, that's hard. Maybe you can teach your toddler these things, right? Like I was teaching something and my friend's 11-year-old daughter was around and I was teaching her a concept and having her explain it to me. Not the most efficient use of my time, but it was really amazing to see that off a brief thing, this 11-year-old could explain the concept of negligence to me. So yeah, try explaining it. Yeah, my dog, Archie, knows the law at this point. If you're a foreign trained lawyer, English isn't awesome. I would do a lot of listening. I would do a lot of writing stuff out. And I would do a lot of reading and understanding. Take fact patterns, take answers, put them in ChatGPT, translate it. Another thing, hey, Gabita, another thing is So I was not planning on talking about this, but I'm going to talk about this real quick right now. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up a Word doc. Because how many of you are overwhelmed by the sheer amount of material to memorize? Like the sheer quantity. Okay. How many of you are trying to memorize complete rule sentences? Are you all trying to? Okay, good. Just buzzwords. Good. Are the people that are doing just buzzwords is it because I told you? Buzzwords, good. Elements, good. Or elements is fine. Good. Okay, but there's a lot of people that they just try to remember buzzwords, or they just try to remember full sentences. Don't do that. Like, basically all rules can be written like blank when blank, which translates to, oops, there is heading when buzzwords. All right. Buzzwords are like the key words from the rule. And all you need to memorize is the heading and the buzzwords, right? So negligence, there's my heading. And the buzzwords are duty, breach, causation, damages. So that's all you got to remember. And then you can take that and you can take all of this and plug it into this formula to write a rule. There is negligence when there is duty, breach, causation, damages. That's all you got to do. That's it. And is it the most beautiful sentence? No, but don't memorize full rule sentences. Yeah, don't memorize that. I tried to do it for the bar. I remember like writing out all of PJ over and over and over and over. First of all, my hand hurts. Second of all, it's not efficient. So evidence is so buzzwordy. And yeah, there's a lot to memorize, but you can do it. So don't memorize full sentences. It's something I talk about a lot in my classes and show you how to organize your information so you're doing that. All right, there we go. All right, writing essays. Y'all need to be writing essays. Have y'all started writing essays? Closed note and timed? Yes, good. Yes, Tristina, get on it. Olabimpe, get on it. Don't just outline. You got to write them in full. You got to start. Don't do it open note. You got to do it timed. Not doing it timed is a waste of your time. Corinne, it's okay if you're terrible. It's okay. The point is, did you write it? Did you make mistakes? And did you learn from the mistakes? So you should have reviewed maybe 2 to 3 ME subjects by now. If you're just getting started, you might not be there. That's okay. That's okay. No. Okay. So for California folks, there's an extra couple little tips. Make sure you get your PR and remedy stuff done early, even though that's a California subject. But get your MBE subjects. The focus is your bar company will be doing this regardless, but get your MBE subjects done. California, push to get PR and remedies done now. And I get it. Everybody's still learning some substantive law. I learned some substantive law here and there occasionally, and it's very nuanced and small. But try to get those done. And aim to finish your review of all subjects, including the California subject or the MEE subjects. Sorry, I swear I wrote that earlier. And by the end of the day on July 6th. So you want to be done. All right. So have that. So if you're someone that doesn't have a schedule that's prepared for you, first of all, if you don't, contact us, or I can drop a free schedule. If you're in my courses, follow my course schedule because it's complex and it's thorough. If you have a bar company, Barbary, or Themis, just follow the daily study schedule for the most part, unless I have told you otherwise because I've talked to you. I'm going to drop a schedule for one for California, one for UBE in the chat right now. And if you're someone that is just studying on your own, there's a schedule to follow. So full-time studiers, if you're studying full-time, you should be doing 2 essays a day, and they should be on different subjects. So if you're working, you're going to do 1 essay a day fully written, and ideally issue spot another essay. And again, 2 different subjects. And if you're uncomfortable with writing essays, we have things to help you, right? Mastering bar essays starts at $4.99. And my bar essay book, I don't know why I edited this stuff out. It says, but the California edition or the MEE edition, it's $149, and it's templates for how to write basically any issue. So everybody, I always get people telling me in the chat that they love it and how helpful it is. And I agree. That's why I wrote it. But it's templates for how to write any essay. Do you guys want to see it? Does anybody want to see it real quick? If you do, tell me in the chat. If not, if you've seen it, fine. Okay. This is my essay template book. Let me show y'all what it is. And let's see. Let's look at, for example, thanks everybody. Fiduciary duties. Let's look at like the duty of care for business associations. So there's a few things about a duty of care. Let me zoom in. So like there'll be a topic, for example. So I'll tell you just a little bit about it, but you've got to know these really well. So to give you the rule here, the general rule, and then there's be some rules that are grayed out. You only include the rule that's grayed out if it's triggered by the facts or if you have time. Usually you don't, but it's basically me saying, hey, you should know this, but do you have to like really work and commit it to memory? Not really. And then it's just a template here. And you say the director either did or did not do what a reasonably prudent person would do because, and then I tell you what to write, etc. And there's all these little footnotes. Like here I say only raise reliance if it's triggered by the facts. Let's see. There's all these footnotes about like how things are tested, what to do. I give you more definition. So it really is, I'm trying to tell you what do you need to do to memorize and what do you not need to do. There's all this stuff that's grayed out to say, okay, you can take some emphasis off of this. But essentially it's if you were to have to write about this issue about voting trusts, right? How would you write that? And what exactly? And you just have to say, okay, either they did or did not agree to create a voting trust because facts and reasons. So did they agree to do it? Was it in writing? Did they agree to transfer their share, etc.? There's also all these writing formulas and steps for how to write as well in the beginning. So there's lots and lots in it. There's one version for California, one for the UBE. All right, let me go back. All right. PTs, aim to write a minimum of 8 PTs. If you struggle with PTs, you should do more. With everything on the bar, if it's something you struggle with or you need to practice it extra. Don't avoid it. You have to make the thing you hate the thing you love. So make sure you've written these, and this is just a benchmark so you can have a little check off list. A memo, which is objective. A letter to a client, which is usually objective. Occasionally they tell you to write it persuasively. A brief, which is to the court or a motion, that is persuasive. Letter to opposing counsel is generally persuasive. And a closing argument, which is also persuasive as an argument. If you're uncomfortable with the PTs, make sure you watch my YouTube videos. I know they're all over the place, they're all over Reddit, etc. That's what people largely come to me for because they know that they've heard of me associated with the PT. But we obviously do everything too. But I have my class. So mastering the PT, there's the recorded, this is weird. My edits didn't all say. But mastering the PT, it starts at about $3.99. And then we have our PT boot camp. PT boot camp is $2.99. This is a new thing. This is new. So if you've done the PT class, if you have my book, any of that stuff, if you really need that accountability for the PT and you want to see me do a really deep dive, it's me doing it live. I don't generally teach classes live anymore. It's just because I can't anymore. That's a whole different conversation. But PT boot camp. I love the PT. I absolutely love doing the PT. So it's going to be a session that starts this Wednesday, and it's going to be, there's one at 6 p.m. Eastern if you're doing the UBE, and one at 6 p.m. Pacific if you're taking California. And with those, it's going to be me doing a really deep dive, like really walking through the steps of writing my answer to a PT. Yeah. So that I'm really excited about. And then we have my book also, and I'll just show the book since everybody wanted to see the other book. Might as well show the PT book. I'm going to show the California version just because it doesn't have licensing issues. With the MPT, I can't really show the material because I would then have to be charged for every one of you that's here. So here's the PT book. So the thing that's nice is it's instruction once you get past these intro pages. There's a lot of instruction here on just some basics about the PT. Then I really walk you through the steps, and people often don't read this, which blows my mind. I give you a study plan. There's that. And then I get into writing, like really showing you about organizing PTs, et cetera. The PT class is going to be between 2 and 3 hours. So we'll see. We'll see. But there's some really detailed instructions for writing here. All right. So it digs into it. I explain extracting rules, et cetera. So it goes really in depth. This book is color because we're color coding to show you like how to write. Although it does this weird thing sometimes with the color, but that's okay. Because some people like that visual representation. So there's that. So it's deep instruction. And then for every PT that's in here, so all these PTs, like this is in UBE, we have a PDF easy to download. So you can download the PTs that are in the book. In California, you can find them all online. But you get my marked up file and library, which this is really the only place that I do this, where I give you this. So you get it. So you can see my notes similar to your notes. So my marked up file and library. And then did you deconstruct the library the same way? Did you deconstruct the file the same way? Did you not annotate and pull out something that I was like, oh, this is important? Did you pull out? Did you identify that was important? So there's my marked up file and library, which people really like. I give you a summary of the PT and maybe some of the challenges. And then you get my step-by-step answer to it. So it shows you how I put it together after each step. So the PT bootcamp is going to be a look at, all right, how did I like literally every step do it for 6 different PTs? Each class is going to be 1 PT. So I'm really excited about that. And the PT course is also, it's in depth. It's so in depth as well. MBE. All right. Your goal is to do approximately 2,000 questions before the bar. So you calculate about, and you want to do 2,000 as a minimum, up to about 2,500. Beyond that, it's a little bit too much. There's not too much. It's the educational benefit diminishes significantly. PT bootcamp, yeah, you can ask questions and I will be teaching it live. So yeah, come to bootcamp. You can ask questions, and you should come to class having written the PT. Because then you should write it, like if the class is on Wednesday, you should write it Tuesday or Wednesday, write it. So if you're working and you need to do it Tuesday night. All right, on the MBE, you want to get to about 2,000 questions before the bar. So calculate how many questions you need to do a day and do the absolute most you can with every MBE question. If you didn't catch my MBE workshop I did last week, it'll be going up on YouTube in the next week or two, where I showed you how in depth to go into each question. There is a really good book that I like for, and everybody needs an extra resource for civil procedure for the MBE. And I just made a little Amazon shop for this, because you should get this book. There was an old version that I think is out of print and it's tougher to get. And there is a new edition, which you can get. So let me give you the link for this. But this is, I'll just show you. I put the link for this. This is the old version. I think some people were saying that like this edition wouldn't arrive until December. It's because it's the older edition. This is the newer edition. This you'll get sooner, but it's still not very soon. Hopefully you can get it and not just get the Kindle edition. Somebody asked you the simulated MBE questions count. Yes. Like adaptive R's questions that they wrote count. The UWorld question counts. There's only, I think you can maybe only get it on Kindle. There is delivery, but it's going to take a while. So just get it Kindle. I don't know what the differences are between the 2 books, but I know the rules really haven't changed all that much. So I don't know, but I know that both of them are good. It's just going to be really a matter of what can you get. All right. Let's see. Let me go back. So this, and the reason is because there's only about 1,500 real questions that exist And there's only about 60 real questions that exist for civil procedure because civil procedure has not been tested on the multiple choice as long as the other subjects have. It's been tested for coming up. That's just been 10 years now, which is crazy. So yeah, so that's why you need another resource. When I see like the simulated questions on CIPRO and AdaptedBar, and I look at the ones in UWorld, they are so different from each other. And that's why you need a diversity of resources. You need to see how different people write this subject. So that's why I think it's so important. Such an important thing to have is extra. If you have Themis, though, I think that their questions are good on CIPRO. If you have Barbary, I think their questions are good. And if you're uncomfortable with the MBE, we have an MBE class that gives you tips and strategies for every single subject that people like. I've seen people's scores go up significantly. So we have MBE Minutia is my class. And I'm going to have promos on a bunch of stuff tonight, if for those of you that are here live. So we have a promo on MBE Minutia, on some of the other stuff. We also have our MBE book. It's a really great resource. It's a review of the black letter law and then some targeted questions on those rules that you just reviewed. So I can show you guys that for a second if you want to see that, or if you wanted to see the other ones. So there's a little intro. So for example, here's a subject. There's some tips for civil procedure. And then what it is, here's the law for jurisdiction and venue. So for this topic that's testable, there's the rules. They're mostly in these black boxes, tips. So like removal, remand, there's some tips here for this section, PJ. There's some tips that are built in too. It's just in the text, but tips there. Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. This is a draft version. Here's the full one. The podcast will be updating, I think it's Thursdays, and then it'll be Monday and Thursday. But so then here's the question. So here's all the law, and then here's questions, testing you on that law, and then the answer explanations right after that, so you can correct yourself. And then it goes into the next topic. There's also a study schedule in here. Everything is in here. So I try to I like things to be very structured. I get irritated when things aren't thoroughly structured. I like to do it in a really organized manner. And in this book, there's a study schedule for you because you guys need a schedule. That's why I have a free one that I share. So this is the MBE book. And there are 410 real questions in here. That's part of the reason it's expensive, is because it's really, these are the most expensive questions to license. The other thing is with the MBE questions. So what I would say right now is you should be doing about 34 questions a day, 6 days a week. At the end of June, towards the end of June, Grace, if you just scroll up in the chat, you'll see the schedule. It's in there. You just have to scroll up. You should be doing about 34 questions a day. Then towards the end of June, you should make sure you got to start working on your endurance. So you want to do a few sets of 50s. Do 2 or 3 sets of 50 instead of 34. Also do 1 set of 100, again, to work on your endurance. And when you do that, you're going to say, all right, do I get tired at a certain point? Do I miss more in the beginning? Do I miss more in the end? If you miss more in the beginning, you need to do a warm-up set on the day of the exam. This is giving you information that you can take to the day of the exam and say, all right, morning of, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do some stuff with breakfast. Like I'm going to have my oatmeal because we're not going to eat anything crazy. Be something that fills us up and is bland. So you're going to have your oatmeal for breakfast and you're going to do some practice questions, right? Then you're going to take the exam. If you're someone I got tired, I would literally get sleepy. My eyes would want to close during it. And I would get tired and be like, oh, I just hate this. I just want to be done and not care. And you can't not care while you're in the exam. So you want to pay attention to that. That's the reason for doing sets of 50 and sets of 100. And not a lot. You're going to do 2 or 3 sets of 50. You're going to do 1 set of 100. You don't want to do 50 a day. The thing is, if you're doing 34 questions, that's 1 hour of questions. If you don't get accommodations, that's 34 questions. To review that, it's going to take you 2 to 3 hours. So doing 34 questions is a 3 to 4 hour activity. That's why you may split it up into 2 sets of 17 each day. And the MBE will not be tested in sets of 50 in California. That's no longer true because it went back to the MBE. Yeah, and like somebody said, the 4th set of 50 in the exam is where they're considering their life choices. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I literally got up during the exam and splashed water in my face because I was just so tired. So that's what I want you to do. All right. Everybody got it? Then in July, you're going to continue to do sets of 34, maybe do another set of 100, another set of 50 in early July, like the first week. And then I think it's the second weekend in July. By the second weekend in July, you're going to do a full mock bar. So you're going to do a set of 200. And you're going to continue to do 34 a day on the other days. But this is how, because you're going to do some of these longer sets. So that's how you get to the 2000, between 2000 and 2500. And somebody asked if the California stuff is going to be back on paper. Yes, we're all back on paper. It's back. February was just a huge blip. Nightmare. If you're burnt out, I put a picture of my dog because he helps calm me down. This is Archie. If you're burnt out, take a break now. It's okay. You have plenty of time. I couldn't take a full day off. Like my brain wouldn't let me relax. So I couldn't take a full day. So I did one evening off each week and one morning off. I know you're behind on my schedule. On my schedule. I know you're behind on your schedule. I get it. But burning yourself out, you're not gonna get enough done. Yeah, I say you're gonna do, so going back to the MBEs, you do 2 sets of 17. So if you do 30 questions, that's 30 minutes. So it basically takes 3 times as long to review as it took you to do it. So if it's 30 minutes of questions, 90 minutes of review, that's 2 hours. Right? But take at least one evening off each week. Have something to look forward to after the bar. So if you don't, I was telling somebody about post-bar trip. They didn't know about it. And I was like, oh, let me tell you the glory that is the post-bar trip. If you're fortunate enough to be able to do that. Make sure you take the Monday before the bar off. We'll talk about them. I do another one of these sessions in early July. And just on a really positive note, this is something that I say a lot, is there is still a lot of time. And like, how long have you guys been studying? A week, 2 weeks? And if you've only done MBE subjects, that's fine. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, a month, right? Take however long you've been studying. How much more do you know now than you knew a week ago? How much more do you know now than you knew 2 weeks ago? You have to think about like how much more you know today than you knew yesterday. And Maureen, somebody's asking, how do you balance all of the learning of a new subject? One, watch those lectures on faster speed. So watch them at 1.5 speed. There is research that shows you can watch them at 1.5 speed without losing any educational benefit. Watch the lectures. And I'll be straight up with you. I took BarMD when I was a law student, or when I had graduated law school, when I studied for the bar. And my days were long. And like this is a finite period of time. My days started 7:30, 8 a.m. and I went till about 10 p.m. And look, I have breaks in between. I would take an hour lunch break. I would take some breaks in to go get coffee, etc. It's usually me walking to get chocolate pretzel. Alexander, you just sent that to me. You got to send it to Tara. Doing that stuff. But the thing is, like, there is still a lot of time, and you have to constantly remind yourself how much more you know now than you did a week ago or however long. You learn a lot every day, and you have to just focus on each day at hand. And that's the thing. It can be a lot to focus on the whole big thing and how am I going to do all of this? Yeah. All right. And I would just follow my schedule. And Kayla, I have a full course for everything. Absolutely. People are looking for a study group in here. If you want to put your name in the chat to find a study group, feel free. All right. So there's that. The other thing I like to really talk about is just like the whole point of bar prep. It's not, did you do well on this essay that you wrote? It's not that. So Boris, people, you got to make sure you're sending your messages to everyone and not to me. So the thing that I want to say is, it's not, did you do well on this one essay? It's, you do the essay, you do terribly on it. That's normal. That's okay. That's totally okay. The point is, if you had to redo that essay, could you do it better? Could you then get a passing score if you were to redo it? And the thing is, you see enough essays, enough multiple choice that you start to know how to approach each of these issues. And that's the point. So that when you get to the bar, you've already seen most of the issues. There's going to be stuff you don't know, and that's okay. We deal with that in final forecast, which is my session 2 weeks before the bar. Somebody asked, at what point do we need to be doing questions closed book? Everybody here should be able to answer that now. You should be doing everything closed note and timed now. Andrea, you just sent it to me. Yeah, Kayla. Yep. That's called our core program, core with MBE. You don't have to buy it separately. And that's core with MBE. All right. And people are, if you're looking for a study group, people are posting, no, that's panelist is me. You have to do it to everyone. Sorry, there's people that are trying to set up study groups and messaging me directly. Just on a positive note, right? Then like, I wish somebody had told me that everything I was going to do, I did not write a single passing essay when I studied for the bar. I did not write a single passing essay. That's okay. I was literally like, I remember a contract that they made me cry because I was just like, this sucks. I did terribly. That's normal. And that's the point. And it's not, you know, how you did on that essay the first time you did it. It's, could you do it? Could you address those issues if you had to address them again on a different essay? That's the gauge. That's why the review of the essays is so important. That's why the review. Jalinda, if you just read through my essay book, which I know you have, I think you have, you'll be comfortable with con law. Yeah. Let's see. If you're not doing well on the time for the essays, though, that's why you have to start timing yourself, is because if you're not doing well, you have to figure out how to make strategic decisions on what to keep and what to cut. Also, if you're not doing well in timing, if you're like a few minutes over it, that's okay. Part of the reason your timing may be a little slower is because you don't have the rules cold, and that will get better over time. All right, everybody hang out, stay on here for a minute, because I'm going to give, for those of you that are here live, I give out some promo codes. So if you're watching the recording, you should come and join live. All right, I'm going to turn the recording off, but everybody hang out just a second.